Line holder or reserve? Why do most pilots prefer to be a line holder, but some still like being on reserve? And there's people like me that have to go back and forth because we're a junior. Hello, my name is Darren. I'm a dad. I'm an airline pilot. I am a husband of a scientist. And for the contractual bid month of May at my airline, I am a line holder again. Now, just back a quick review. For January, I was a line holder. For February, I was a line holder. But then for March, I wanted reserve. I kind of had to be reserve because my seniority went down in my bid status. But then in April, I chose reserve, even though I could have held a line. But in May, here I am holding a line again. And I'm a bottom end line holder. So again, my date of hire was November 29th of 2017. That is my company seniority. And that's really only important for, I guess, really being furloughed or not being furloughed. And that date is important for my annual pay raise. But what's most important on my day-to-day life is my actual aircraft seniority in my base. So for me, I care about DFW 777 first officer. That's what affects my day-to-day life as a pilot here. Now, in my status, there are 257 first officers in total. I am number 201. Now, for the contractual bid month of May, there were 192 line holders and 65 reserves. Now, looking at those numbers, say, well, Darren, you have to be reserved because you're number 201 out of 192. And if math were always math, that would be a true statement. But when it comes to being a pilot and working as a crew member at an airline, math isn't always math the way you think it would. So when every month, I tell the airline what I would like to do for a schedule. Now, me being so junior, again, I am number 201 at 257. I am way down the list when the computer gets to me as far as seeing what I want and what's left over. And how bidding works where I work is the very number one pilot in my bid status, they ask him or her, what would you like to do next month? And they can say, hey, I want to go to Rome on this day, Dublin on this day, Incheon, South Korea on this day, and London on this day. Okay, here you go, you got it. Now those trips are now taken out of the proverbial pot and they go down the list. And some pilots might say, hey, I don't care where I go, but I'm only gonna work Monday through Thursday. So the computer gets to that pilot and they say, okay, Monday through Thursday, let's see what I got for you. And they pull out some trips. Okay, here are 4 trips for you next month, Monday through Thursday, you got it. And all the way down. You can be really picky or not picky at all. But the more picky you are and the more junior you are, the harder it is for it to give you something, right? Let's say you're 50% down the list. You say, I only want to go to Dublin, Ireland on Mondays. That's it. Well, if it gets down to you and there are no more Dublin, Ireland trips on Mondays, it can't give you anything, right? So it might default and give you a reserve, even though you could have held a line, or if you tell it other constraints. You might say, listen, I really want to go to Ireland only on Mondays. And that's my first choice. But if need be, I can go anywhere on Mondays. Or I can go to Ireland. I just want to go to Ireland, period. So you can give it more and more options. You can be less and less picky as you go down. Where I work, we can have 7 proverbial pots to pick from, right? Our ideal situations. So I can say, hey, this is what I really want. And you give it to it. And it's like, ha 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 ha, no, that's not possible. And it goes down to your second choice, and third choice, and fourth choice, and so forth, until it can find enough flying to give you a schedule. Now, there's always a window of what it wants to give you with a target value. So for the contractual bid month of May, the computer wanted to give pilots in my status between 76 hours and 41 minutes worth of flying and 90 hours and 41 minutes worth of flying. Well, actually credit, not flying, just credit. And its target was 83 hours and 41 minutes. So it wants to get right around 83 hours, 41 minutes for all pilots in my bid status. For me, I solved in my proverbial pot, my layer 5. So my layer 1 was like anywhere but London, weekends off. And of course, being number 201, by the time it got down to me, it's like, that's funny, Darren. Let's try again. And then I had my layer 2, my layer 3, my layer 4. If I got to my layer 5, it's like, okay, hold on now. Let's see. You're pretty open on this layer here. I can work with this, Darren. Here you go. So for the month of May, I got 4 trips total. So I'm working 12 days. I have 19 days off. And of my 4 trips, 3 of them are relief pilot trips, and 1 is a flying first officer trip. I have 2 trips to London and 2 trips to Madrid, Spain. Now, the first trip to London I'm doing is a 6:35 p.m. report time, meaning I have all day off until 6:35 p.m. when I have to be at the airport to report for duty. I finish on day 3 at 4:45 in the afternoon. And so we get in at 4:15, and then I have 30 minutes of debrief time when my duty is still going on because, wrapping up duties in the flight deck. You make sure everything's secured, getting off the airplane and clearing customs. So my total time, let's call it time away from base, from my report time on day 1 to the end of report on day 3 is 46 hours and 10 minutes. So I mentioned per diem every now and then. My per diem is scheduled to last 46 hours and 10 minutes times whatever's on the screen. That's my per diem rate. And then my credit, how much I'm being paid, is 19 hours and 30 minutes. So I'm being paid 19 hours, 30 minutes over that 3-day period to fly to London, have roughly a 24-hour overnight, and fly back. And again, that is a relief pilot trip. My next London trip will be a flying pilot trip. This one has a much later report time of 8:30 p.m. and I finish at 8 p.m. on day 3. Now, this one has a little bit more of a time away from base because the times aren't lining up at the same, right? This one has a 47-hour and 30-minute time away from base. And I have a whole extra 5 minutes extra of credit, 19 hours and 35 minutes. Why is it 5 minutes longer? Exactly. And then my 2 Madrid trips, they're both relief pilot trips. They're identical. It has a 3:35 p.m. report time, and I finish at 4:35 p.m. on day 3. Time away from base is 48 hours and 50 minutes, and I'm being credited 19 hours and 45 minutes. So Madrid is a little bit further away than London, so it pays 15 minutes more. But again, they're both relief pilot trips. My total credit for the month for those 4 trips is 78 hours and 35 minutes. So if I just take my schedule as is, which I've almost never done in my entire career, that is what I'll be paid for the mid-month of May, and I'll have 19 days off. Except, again, I said I almost never do that. I like to trip trade. So when we get our schedules, we bid for the schedule. It's this long, drawn-out process that repeats itself every single month. I bid between the 8th and the 13th. Get my results on the 16th. They're finalized on the 18th. And then between the 19th and I think the 27th, various things start happening. But on the 24th, an important day, that is when I can start trading my trips for next month. And that is exactly what I'm planning on doing. I would like to get higher credit trips. And if possible, go to places that are new, right? So I'm still trying to get to Dublin, Ireland, and Frankfurt, Germany. Those are 2 cities that my aircraft serves that I haven't been to yet. Also, I'd like to go to Barcelona, Spain. That is a new city for my airline this summer. A new city for my aircraft this summer. Was it on the aircraft last summer? So on the 24th, I'll be looking to trade trips. And how does trip trading work? It's complicated. So I can either trade with another pilot. Say Sarah has trips that she doesn't really want. She can put them out to be picked up by someone else. Or she can just say, hey, this trip is balloted, meaning she wants to take her trip and trade it for like a London trip that's currently not covered. I can see her trip. I say, hey, listen, I want to trade my Madrid trip for Sarah's Dublin trip if it becomes open. And so the computer starts doing this churning at 8 o'clock and 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. every single day. It runs through all the process and permutations of this for that, 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 this for that. And hopefully I can trade out of my London trips and then get into Frankfurt and Dublin and hopefully Barcelona as well. I can also do what's called a drop. Again, a lot of pilots are entrepreneurs. They have a side business, right? So I could try and just tell the airline, I don't want to do any of these trips. And say just drop them to open time. And the airline has all these triggers, and they have all these minimum staffing and minimum open time, yada, yada, yada. But basically, I tell the airline, hey, I don't want to go to London on this day, and put it out there. And I can either drop it to open time, meaning no, it can be picked up by anybody, or maybe I post it, and Sarah has those days off, and she can pick up the trip, take it from me, and it's gone. Now, I do lose the money, and it is possible as an airline pilot, where I work, to drop down to 0 hours of pay. If you want the whole month off and you're senior enough, or if the computer allows it, you can just say, clear out my schedule, I'm not working at all. And of course, you don't get paid. You might end up owing money for like insurance kind of thing, but you can have the whole month off if you want to. That's why, when I have vacation this month, vacation weeks as a pilot, unless I have a planned vacation, it's kind of like a waste because we can make our own vacations by manipulating our schedule up and around and how we want to do it. But that is a short look at seniority and bidding and what my future holds today. But of course, we'll have to see here on the 24th what happens. Again, I'm very junior in my status. My company seniority, I'm roughly number 9,050, I think, out of like 15,000 pilots. But that doesn't really matter in my day-to-day life. What matters in my day-to-day life is my seniority and my base, aircraft, and seat. This is a video about seniority. I have a flying video coming up here soon. Again, I have vacation this month, so I am flying. There's another video coming up about London probably next week, and I had the video about Sun and Fun as well. Those take some time to edit. Right now, as you watch this, I am somewhere in the world. I've never been before, hopefully, flying on an airline. I've never flown on before. I'm trying something new this week. My name is Darren. I'm a dad. I'm an airline pilot. I'm a husband of a scientist. Have an absolutely wonderful day, and thank you for stopping by.